And for you two, has being involved in prostitution, has it had any impact when it comes to your romantic prospects?
Yeah, I've got to be able to be myself and fully disclose, and I need that person to accept me for who I am. Bottom line.
I have had no issues being a legal prostitute. I've had no issues being a legal prostitute just because I haven't been dating anybody within this time for that year.
Mm-hmm.
As for everything else, it's hard dating. I've ran into a lot of insecure men. Typically, those are the ones that can't handle me doing what I do for work. And
just a point of clarification. So you've run into a lot of insecure men, and are they insecure because they don't want to date you because you are currently active as a prostitute?
No, I'm saying I've never dated a guy while I was working at the brothels, at the Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Ranch. But I've been dating guys, like, between me doing camming and dancing. So that's what I'm talking about.
But you mentioned insecure men. What specifically are they doing that makes them insecure? Is it because they're insecure about your work?
Yes, like I've had exes in the past that would cry about me going to work to dance at the strip club.
Okay.
I've had guys try to control like what I wear and say that I can't work at strip clubs or do OnlyFans or whatever.
Was there more?
No, and that's...
Okay. Is it because they're insecure, or is that just them having boundaries and standards?
I feel like that's... I mean, you knew what I was doing before you met me, right? So all of them knew exactly what I was doing before they met me, which brings it to, if you have a problem with what I do before you meet me, maybe don't get involved with me.
Sure.
I'm very open. I'm a very honest person. You knew what I was doing before you met me. If you don't like it, there's the door. Nobody's making you stay.
I think too, gentlemen love the idea of dating us, and then once we go to do it, then it's not really realistic.
Right. It's almost like
A fetish.
Like, right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's so hot. I have a girlfriend that does this, that, and the other, and then when they're really at home and I'm like on OnlyFans or on a call with a client or whatever, they're like, no, this is weird. This is weird. You know what I mean? And that, I think it's an insecurity, yes, because you knew where I was coming from, you knew what I was doing, and you weren't okay with it. Then you should have made that a point.
Well,
I mean, I suppose you have a point that, I mean, if they knew going in that this is what you do for work, you're a stripper, or you're doing OnlyFans, or you're doing sex work, then I think it's a little bit of a stretch that all of a sudden, a couple weeks or months into a relationship, then they start changing up. But I think to differentiate the conversation a little bit, for example, like let's say, and I don't know if you mentioned this, when it comes to like posting perhaps revealing photos online, not intended for commercial, like they're just on Instagram, but they're not monetizing it, they're not content creators, or like, for example, if they go to the bar, club, party a lot, would you consider it insecure if a guy, maybe 3 months into a relationship, at that point he started having issues with you or with another girl? Hey, he started saying, hey, I don't want you to go in the clubs and bars anymore.
And he already knew? You're saying he already knew this?
Well, like, I assume he knew, yeah.
So, if he already knew, then...
Well, I guess my framing is, prior to dating, he had no problem with you or with another girl engaging in what he considered to be single behavior at the time. But once you or whoever it is started dating, he wanted his partner to act in a way that he thought was more consistent with being in a relationship. So perhaps it's okay to go out to, me personally, even if I'm single, I'm not really interested in going to bars, clubs, and I don't post revealing photos online, but I don't know, I feel like that men don't do that too much. I mean, there's certainly men that post like whatever, anyways. But once you get into the relationship, there's expectations that certain things change.
Well, with the sex worker,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just differentiating when it comes to like posting revealing photos. If it's not for your work,
then yeah,
or
like
going to bars and
I can
clubs.
separate my work identity
Sure.
from my personal life.
Go ahead. You wanted to come in?
I mean, if we're talking somebody that's not a sex worker and is posting revealing photos, I think that that's something that you talk about before getting into a relationship with somebody, because then if you're talking, you know, and a guy is like, you know, my expectations for my girlfriend are XYZ. I don't like these kind of revealing photos for my girlfriend. I don't like you going out all the time. And then I think from then on, that's when you decide whether to make a relationship serious or not, because if she doesn't want to restrict where she's going or what she's doing or the type of photo she's posting for him, then that's her decision. But I don't think that it's wrong for a partner to ask her, you know, hey, if we're in a relationship, this is what I expect. And then, you know, she makes the decision, yes, I will do those things, or no.
But do you think that so early on, like say on the first date or second date, that there's enough of a relationship established for a guy to have enough, I don't know if leverage is the right word, but like enough pull or influence to be like, hey, listen, I don't want you doing this anymore?
Absolutely not.
someone
Absolutely
with the
But that's, I
expectation
mean,
that
she
they're
just
gonna
said
change.
that you should early on, you should say,
Early on,
I
not
don't.
date number one. Date
Not
number one
date
is
number
crazy.
one, not
Okay,
date number
okay,
two.
okay.
That is
Maybe date
wild.
number
I think,
three,
okay, wait,
four,
wait.
like-
There's,
Okay.
I think there's two things
Go ahead, Dixie.
going on here. I think you can date someone, and then as a relationship evolves and changes, some things that you thought you were comfortable with, you're like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with this anymore.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say
think
that.
that's reasonable. But I think that's very distinct than going into a relationship thinking, oh, I don't like the fact that she posts this types of photos. I'm going to make her stop. You know, I'm going to change her, basically. Because you're setting up, I think, everyone for disappointment. You're setting up yourself, her. There's a difference between going into something, having feelings change, talking from there, and intentionally trying to change before you even date, really.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you ever fell in love with somebody, would you be willing to delete all of your stuff if they asked you?
Would I be...
Yes. If you, as a sex worker and everything that you do, if you fell in love and you found someone and they asked you to stop.
So with that being said, I am currently single because of what I do for work. I am very much so busy doing my work, and I am full throttle, like wanting to make money and capitalize off of this industry to the best of my ability and make it to the point where I can retire. And then it's like, also making this much money and doing what I do for work, it puts me in a position to be able to meet the type of guys that I want to meet, right? The higher end type of guys. And maybe later on down the line, not anytime yet, I would be open to it if I find everything happens for a reason, you know, you never say never, but like if I found Prince Charming or something one day and he didn't want me doing this anymore, or I wouldn't be doing this anyways. I want to retire from it at one point. And then yeah, eventually maybe
And when you say high-end men, what do you mean by that?
like
Like high value men?
Yes, high
Or
value.
men with a lot of money?
high value.
Okay.